Hey friends, I'm back for another video. I don't think I've done a video like this, and I think I'm going to try to add it to my repertoire of stuff to film. Every 2 months, I think I'm going to give you guys a wrap-up of all the 5-star reads that I've read or books that have really stood out for me. So yeah, let's get into it. I have 10 books to talk about, and I have read, at that point, I would say I've read about like 35 books, which is pretty good. I've had a pretty good reading year, I mean. So yeah, let's get into it. The first book is actually the first book I read in the year, which is actually so exciting. But that is Rivals by Catherine McGee. I started this book on New Year's Eve, hoping I would finish it before, but it didn't happen. But hey, I'm happy that the first book of the year was a 5-star read. That's always my intention. Doesn't always work, but it did happen. This is the third book in the American Royal series, and this book ended on a killer cliffhanger. And I remember when I finished reading it, I got to the Goodreads page and it was like, book 4 is coming out on January 1st, 2023, and it was not out, and I was like, what is happening? This book blew my mind how much I liked it. Like, you know, it's a contemporary series, but like it has a lot of elements to it that I enjoy. It gives me Gossip Girl vibes, it gives me Royals vibes, but basically this third book is, I don't want to talk too much spoilers, but there is a lot of elements in the story that I loved. There was 3 very, very different point of view characters, and if you don't know what this book series is about, it's what if George Washington had been crowned king and not president, and then kind of the progression, and you follow 3 very, very different main characters. You follow the Queen of America, who is a young girl, you follow her sister Sam, and then you follow Sam's best friend Nina, and then you follow a girl that really wants the spare, I guess, to marry her. And this book was very interesting. The dynamics of the story changed a lot. There was some shocking plot twists at the end that I did not see coming. I remember enjoying Majesty. I think Majesty went in a direction I didn't necessarily predict, but this book was really, really shocking. I am really excited to see where book 4 goes, because this ended on like a really, really big cliffhanger, and like the monarchy is at stake now, so I have a lot of like interest in it. There's another book on here that also gives me royalty and Prince Harry vibes called Royal Blood, but this book was really, really fun. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm really excited to see where book 4 goes, so that is why it had to make this list. Another book that I don't currently have with me, but it is a 5-star read, and it should be on my shelf, but I gave it to one of my students, is Stella Lunar by Jan and Messenger. Here is a photo. This is the latest book in the Keeper of the Lost City series, and I'm loving this book. This is very much, we're getting to sort of endgame material, so like I don't want to talk too much about this book series because we're so much farther in, but this is the first book in this series that we start getting answers. So if you don't know anything about this series, it's a middle grade series where Sophie realizes she's an elf and all of the drama that goes with that. It is a really captivating story, like really, really digestible, a lot of layers. It's great. But this 9th book is the first book in this series where we start to get answers, and I was here for it. I will admit, if you like a certain couple in this book, they're not together for most of the book. You don't even see the character in this book, but we start to get answers. We start to uncover stuff. And Jan and Messenger just has really, really good writing. Like, she's captivating. The characters are really good. And again, this is another book that has a wide cast of characters that I feel like everyone got screen time. Not in all the books, but this book I feel like there was a nice balance between all the characters. And we started to get answers. So that is why it is on my list, and that is why it is a 5-star read for me. And then the next book we are going to chat about, I tried to do this in order that I read them, but some books may have escaped my notice. Okay, and then the next book we are going to chat about is Begin Again by Emma Lord. This is her newest book that I really, really liked, and this is her first book set in college, so you follow a main character named Andy. She's going to college, gives you Legally Blonde vibes, and she wants to be like a journalist. She wants to work for the radio and do stuff like that. It gave me Legally Blonde vibes, and it follows her first year of college, and it was a really fun read. Like, I liked it. It felt like coming home. That's what the story felt like. It was like a comfort read. It was a friends to more romance. It had a lot of side characters. My college reminded me a lot of this story. There was like a secret society on campus, and it was great. I just liked it. It was fun. It was like a warm hug. Were the stakes really high? No. Was it angsty? No. but it just brought a smile to my face. Emma Lords writes very, very fun characters, and I just like this romance quite a bit, and that is why she's on this list. I've loved all the books by this author for the most part, and I'm excited to see what she does in the future. This was the first book set in college, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more books set in college, but yeah, this was another 5-star read for me. And the next book is a historical, my first historical on this list. This was definitely a surprise, I will admit. I didn't go in thinking I would love this as much, but it was a blog tour book, and it is Duke's Secret Cinderella by Eva Devon. Here is the photo. This is basically a Cinderella retelling, but I just really, really liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought that the structure of the story, and I think because I was reading so many romance that had really, really over-the-top lead males, it was just nice to read about a guy who wasn't such a jerk or so overpowering. But you basically follow this main character, and she accidentally pretends to be a lady, and this Duke falls for her. Little does she know she's sort of like a Cinderella-esque character, and her evil stepfather, which was an interesting twist, wants her daughter to marry this Duke, and things go from there. The ending was super surprising, and I just liked it. It was a quick read, really, really fun. It takes the Cinderella myth and sort of tosses it on its head, and I was here for it. So that is why it is on this list. I haven't read anything by this author before, and I would like to read more, for sure. Another book that I read and didn't really expect much was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Here is that photo as well. This is the first book in like her new series. I actually think the audio is coming out soon, but this is a Little Mermaid retelling sort of, and I loved it. It also had small town vibes. It also gave me like Heart of Dixie vibes about this like rich woman that winds up going to this small town, and she's a doctor. She's dealing with a lot. Her family is a little bit verbally abusive. She's in an abusive relationship. She's sort of coming out of that. And then you follow another character who sort of grew up in the small town his whole life, and their paths wind up crossing, and they have a romance, and it's great. It's also older man, younger guy, which I don't think I've read before. The small town elements of the story definitely took it. I love seeing the fairy tale-esque elements. I love the reversal. It was great. I really, really loved it. I want to read more by this author in the future. I actually just got an audio for Happily Ever After playlist, so I'm here for it. I know some of her books don't have the best reviews, but this one really, really worked for me, and it was super fun. There's also a pet goat. You put an animal in your book, I'm probably going to read it, and yeah, I gave it 5 stars. And that was a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, but I definitely enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes. And then the next book is another YA contemporary, and it's When You Wish Upon a Lantern by Gloria Chow. Here is that book cover. This is another Friends to More romance, or, you know, best friends to potentially more, and it basically follows these two characters. It's also Romeo and Juliet-esque, and they live in this small town. Their families are sort of at war. They were friends. They had sort of a possible getting together a couple of months back, and things sort of went horribly awry, and they're working on a lantern festival, and they're sort of forced to work together, even though their families do not like each other for a lot of reasons. But I loved it. It was very, very sweet. I've read other books by Gloria Chow which dealt with a lot of harder topics, especially the parental roles. There was definitely drama with that. It was definitely a sweeter story. I love books about like and there was also a grief element for both characters, but I also just like the way that the story was told. It was very, very sweet, but did have a harder edge. I always love a good Romeo and Juliet story, so this one was really, really fun. Definitely has a focus on self-discovery, and I really liked both characters. I'm definitely a sucker for books where both characters are present and accounted for, and you get both of their point of views, and this is definitely my favorite book by this author, for sure. And then the next book I picked up is another book that's not quite out yet, but that is Never Vacation with Your Ex by Emily Weberly and Austin Sigmund Broca. I have really been on a kick with all of these authors' YA books. I have really, really liked this. This is also another second chance. You follow this main character named Kaylee, yeah, and she winds up breaking up with her boyfriend a couple of weeks before, but they're like best friends, like their families are best friends. So they wind up having to go on vacation together, and Kaylee's mom and their parents are like a little bit upset. So she kind of makes it her mission to help her ex get over him, and things go from there. And it was also interesting because there was a really, really strong topic about like the Olympics and the Olympic pressures, and sort of like not letting other things distract you, and also another self-discovery book. I have a thing for self-discovery novels, so I really like this. It was second chance friends, you know, second chance romance. I love those, and I love their writing style. The only thing that I gave this book 5 stars. The only thing I would have liked a little bit more is if we got both characters' point of view, but as I said, I'm flexible, and this was another 5-star read. Obviously blurred because this is what the video is about. And then the last physical book I have for you is Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kimmerer. This is the second book in the Defy the Night series. I read this and really liked it. I was a big fan of book 1. This book is very, very different. It introduces some seafaring elements. We get a new character. And if you were in love with Tessa and Kodrick, I think this book might break you a bit because they deal with a lot in this book. But it's definitely more adventure focused. Again, we left off on a pretty big cliffhanger at the end of book 2. But the characters do grow a lot in the story, and I was captivated. But if you don't know what this is about, the first book, there's like a pandemic where the characters are sort of forced to work together to try to implement the like the recovery of the cure, and you have a prince and a like oh, what is she called? Like, a vigilante trying to help, and they're kind of forced to team together, but they have to team up in this book and go on an adventure, and things go haywire. But I love Bridget Kimmerer's writing style, and really, really like this book, and happy that I finally picked it up. And then to kind of go back to my royalty theme, I want to talk about Royal Blood by Amy Carter, which is a book that I have loved. Definitely, I blame the whole spare elements because I read this right around the time and I was here for it. This book follows a young main character, I can't remember her name, but she is the illegitimate daughter to the King of England. And she winds up going, you know, after her mom dies, I think, she winds up going to stay with the royal family, and things go from there. There is a potential murder that she's accused of, and that kind of frames the book. There was a lot of intrigue, a lot of drama, and really, really great storytelling. It gave me Gossip Girl vibes. It gave me American Royal vibes. Definitely more of a murder mystery plot, but I loved it. I was captivated. Hard to see it coming. I think this is going to be a trilogy, which I will definitely be checking out, but I just really, really liked it. It definitely was like a lot. There was also elements that was like pulled from like there was like newspaper clippings and TV articles that kind of gave you how the public was viewing her, which I love in books like that because I think it fleshes out the world and gives it a lot of like context. But I loved it. It was a really, really fast-paced murder mystery, one that I really, really loved, and I'm so happy I got an early copy of that for sure. And then the last book I'm going to talk about is another book that I think everyone on BookTube has been loving, and that's why I picked it up, is The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. Here is a photo. Book I would say is a low 5-star, but I still did really, really enjoy it. But it basically follows this main character, and she is a cook. She really, really likes cooking, and you have another main character named Kit who is trying to open up a breakfast club, and they're kind of forced to work together because our female character needs lessons of seduction to learn what a man wants her for her and not for her body or not for her money, and Kit needs the recipe. So they're sort of forced to work together. It's a teach me romance, lessons of seduction, but I loved it. I want to read the other books in this series as well. But yeah, those are my top reads so far of the year. I'm sure this list is going to change, but I just wanted to kind of see where I was at every couple of months, and I will see you again in April where we will check in on the next 2 months of my top reads of the month or the year so far. But thank you guys for watching. Comment below what is your favorite book of the year so far. If I had to pick from these, I would probably say fantasy-wise, probably Stellalune, and non-fantasy-wise, probably Begin Again. So I'll talk to you guys soon for another video. Bye, Book Dragons.